What would you say is the current state of Hollywood now?
Huh. Gray. Um, Unfortunately, with all the superhero movies, but also the sequels to remakes to prequels, I think that the biggest thing is they're ideologically driven. And in that, it's hard to tell a story. It's hard to tell creative stories when you have
Yeah.
to make sure you have the right amount of black, Asian, trans, uh, Polynesian individuals in your story, where as opposed to just telling the story and see where it falls. I think creativity has really been stifled in Hollywood. That was one of the biggest reasons I wanted to move out there, because I could express myself in ways that I thought, like being in the Midwest, I couldn't be understood. And eventually, as I was, I started aligning myself more with like the right, excuse me, the right and Republican way of thinking, and conservative, specifically conservative way of living. I saw that if I expressed that, then I would lose everything that I worked for, or I'd lose any of those opportunities. So I started to stifle myself or censor myself in a certain way. And I think as an artist, you can't have that. You really can't. It doesn't allow you to flourish. It doesn't allow you to create good art. And we're seeing that right now. We're seeing terrible art out there, and it's a sad thing for Hollywood, but I think it's a great thing for the rest of the country.
Yeah, and you link that terrible art just to this ideological driven as opposed to creativity and mastery driven um, style of artwork or pursuit that's happening right now.
Yeah.
Where do you kind of link that DEI, as we'll call it, back to?
Well, it was always kind of there underneath, because like everyone was always arguing like it wasn't enough opportunity. But then when they started doing, like, I'd say in Hollywood, they started where they require SAG required productions to have like at least one person of color and a female as within their casting. So it started shifting, and it was force feeding. Yeah, it was force feeding, what it was supposed to be. I mean, by the time people saw Oscars saying they have to have a category where at least somebody's in there, the union had been requiring productions to do that for at least a good 4 to 5 years before that. So when that started rolling into place, yes, a lot more people got different opportunities, but I think it's still, again, it started to stifle what it is, that the artist should be about. And it just, I think inherently, the way Hollywood works as opposed to just storytelling, is that it's built on the flesh, right? And anyone who's a Christian or religious, you understand that like we're supposed to die to our flesh every day, but yet we're in an industry where it's like, for guys, like how good looking, oh, do you have your six pack abs? For women, what's your breast size? Are you good enough? And then so a lot of times that can go further to get to a higher level. What are you willing to compromise within your body in order to
Yeah.
continue moving forward? So it's always been underlined there. It just, I think, started coming out even more forcefully when it went towards that DEI initiative before it was called DEI. It was just, you have to do this. Why? Because it's opportunity and it's fair for everyone else.
Yeah.
I think it really hurt where Hollywood could be today.
Yeah. Did you notice a tipping point where it was like, this is suddenly becoming a lot more mainstream to have this? You must have a BIPOC person on cast on the set.
Um, I don't know if I noticed one moment, as opposed to, again, I think that after Trump was elected in 2016, everyone, a lot, not everyone, a lot of people in the industry seem to be like, we have to work harder to fight against what we believe is this like uh straight white man, possible Christian. We'll just toss Christian in there because they've been hating Christ for a long time,
Yeah.
type of mentality. And you didn't see it on set as much, but you kind of felt it in the air around you. You kind of felt it in little things that would be dropped in conversations. And so you felt like, again, that was the underlining thing. When Trump was in there, I think people, as a lot of the artists there, felt like they were fighting something back more than they were before Trump got in. Because when it was before that, it was Obama. And
Yeah.
Obama was like, they felt the energy around was like, hey, everything, we finally hit that mark. Everything's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Trump's here. We got to fight harder. So the idea of having to fight harder really got turned up, I would say, during that time. And the way they know how to fight, kind of, it leads into the ideologically driven mindset of DEI and equity, and all that stuff. So it got really,
Ugly.
yeah, it got really
Yeah.
ugly.